Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about tooth whitening in office versus at home versus over the counter. So sit tight and let's get going. Okay, so I first got my tooth whitened when I was 15. Back then they really didn't do it unless you were 18 or older. But my mom begged and pleaded because I was going into high school and I had beaver teeth. Have you guys ever seen beaver teeth? Here's a picture. So yeah, my teeth kind of look like that. That's a little extreme, but they came in really orange. Now, baby teeth are called milk teeth. They are naturally more white than your adult teeth. However, I must have had like an overabundance of carrots as a child because I had really orange teeth when they came in. And I was headed into high school. I was kind of an awkward kid. Mom goes, let's help her out. Let's get these teeth whitened for her. And so I am eternally grateful. Anyway, and as far as these go, there you go. All right, so you can see how nice and ugly these are today. So these are actually bleaching trays that I made a couple years ago for Halloween, and I just painted the inside of them. So much better. Well, there's different types of staining. So staining can be caused by food and drink such as coffee. I've seen really bad stain actually caused by fruit juices like dark fruit smoothies after having had like lemon water. Don't ever do those together. Like if you're gonna do a lemon water, which is super acidic, followed by a dark fruit juice smoothie, do the smoothie first if you have to. Or drink your acid through a straw, which is a lot better idea. Tobacco also causes staining. So any of the tobacco products for the most part will cause a yellow stain on the teeth, sometimes even a brown stain on the teeth, depends on what you're using. So aging also causes a gray or yellow shift in the teeth. You'll see that in a lot of older people. White teeth are looked at as being a trait of being younger. They used to do that show on TV, I think it was called 10 Years Younger or something. One of the very first things they would do is whiten a person's teeth because it instantly takes age off of a face. It's pretty amazing. Trauma can also cause dental changes in color. Whacking a tooth, a lot of you maybe have seen children who have like smashed their face into something and then later the tooth will turn kind of a dark gray color. I had a sister like that. Thankfully it was her baby tooth and eventually it fell out with no big deal. If it happens to an adult tooth, that tooth has gone dead and it will need a root canal and probably internal whitening. Strips and that kind of stuff are not going to take care of that. Medications can also cause staining in your teeth. Antihistamines, some antipsychotics, some blood pressure medications, chemotherapy and radiation to the head and neck, tetracycline and doxycycline in children when their teeth are forming. If they're exposed to those two antibiotics, they will actually cause a very dark gray stain across the teeth. You can look that up, tetracycline stain. That's an interesting Google search for those of you who want to be in dentistry. Very easy to spot, also very hard to whiten. The tooth is a crystal. A lot of people believe that tooth is bone. Tooth is not bone. Tooth is a crystal. So hydrogen peroxide or a carbamide peroxide are used to release oxygen molecules into the teeth and around the teeth, which think of it as them like crushing up the stain molecules in the teeth, and they create smaller and smaller molecules of stain, which makes the tooth look more white versus, you know, the large molecules which you look at and you go, ugh. So the color is less concentrated and the tooth appears to be more white. So if your teeth are yellow, you will have the best results with whitening. If your teeth are brown, you will have some results, but they won't be fantastic. If you have gray teeth, a lot of times they'll tell you they don't whiten. They do whiten, but you're going to need to commit yourselves to 6 to 9 months of daily whitening to get something like tetracycline stain out or gray stain out of your teeth. It can happen. It's a really long process. So there are two main ingredients, hydrogen peroxide and carbamide peroxide. And there's different concentrations, everything from like 4% hydrogen peroxide to I think I've seen as high as 44 or 45% hydrogen peroxide. That's only going to be found in office with a dentist watching. The ones in the mall are going to be 16%, I think, or under is what's allowed. And the at-home over-the-counter stuff is going to be really pretty, you know, the strips and things are going to be really pretty mild. So the difference between the hydrogen peroxide and the carbamide peroxide, you know what hydrogen peroxide is. Carbamide peroxide is 1 to 3 parts hydrogen peroxide. I think that's how that works. So if you have a 30% carbamide peroxide, that actually means it's 10% hydrogen peroxide. The molecule has to break down into hydrogen peroxide in order for it to work on your teeth, and it's a longer process. So that would be a whitening that you would use overnight. It can be used up to 6 hours to be effective. Hydrogen peroxide has a half-life of 30 to 60 minutes, so it's going to be a lot faster. The carbamide peroxide is going to be in your strips and stuff that you're going to be wearing overnight. So between the two, results are the same and sensitivity is the same. Studies are showing that they both cause the same amount of sensitivity in people who will and are sensitive, and cause the same amount of actual whitening over time. Just some will happen faster than others. So Rebound. There's what we call rebound in whitening. Rebound is when your teeth will look one shade one day after you've finished whitening, and then like 2 days later you feel like they're darker again. And the reason for that is the oxygen is actually pushing air into the teeth, so they're dehydrated, which makes them look whiter. As your saliva works its way back into the tooth, you're gonna get a rebound effect, which is just a darkening because the teeth are no longer dehydrated. A quick tip, if your dentist gives you gel tubes or strips, keep them in the refrigerator. They will actually last longer and you'll get better results from them. See those in the dental offices. Those are typically, you're gonna have like a gel or a protective rubber barrier put over the gums first, a gel applied to the teeth, and then a laser or a light, something that's going to really activate the peroxide and give you a really fast whitening. Usually those treatments take anywhere from 20 to 90 minutes depending on the type you're using, whether it be Zoom or what was the one we had in my last office? Sensational Smiles, I think was like 20 minutes. So depending on which one you're using, it'll be about sometimes up to 90 minutes in the chair. And they're using a 25 to a 45% peroxide, again depending on what type of peroxide is being used and who's doing it, how sensitive the patient's going to be. If a patient already has sensitive teeth, they're going to use a really low one. If it's, you know, if you can handle a lot more, they're going to go higher. Also, those tend to be a lot more expensive because you are in chair and taking up chair time. Like an assistant or something is usually working on you, putting on the rubber or whatever to protect your gums, and it's going to be a lot pricier. So those can run, I've seen them up to $500, sometimes a little more. I've seen them lower than that. Again, it depends on what system's being used. Is it a laser? Is it not? Is it just like an LED light? It all kind of depends on what's being used in office. But those in office tends to be a lot more pricey. So another way of getting whitened teeth is to go to your dentist and get trays made. So this is an at-home thing. So these are my trays. Ooh. So they're just little clear, like rubber. What you do is you just take a gel, like one of these. I don't know if you can see that. You can see that? Yeah. So one of those. This one is Day White. This is a 9.5% hydrogen peroxide in Cool Mint. Anyway, so you'll take something like that and it's a little syringe and you're just gonna squeeze just a tiny little bit in each of these little teeth. I stick it on and you wear it around for usually about an hour. It kind of depends on which gel you're using again. But you just, you know, stick these both on and you talk really funny for about an hour, and then you take them off and you brush it off with warm water and a toothbrush, and you're good to go. So those usually take about, I don't know, a few days to a couple of weeks, even up to 2 weeks to get good results with these. Again, depends on your teeth, depends on the type of whitening being used. This is how I got started. I did 2 weeks with these, initially at 15. Works pretty well. You can also wear those overnight, so 1 to 2 hours typically, or up to overnight. I don't like swallowing that stuff at night. It kind of burns my throat, so I tend to not to. That's cute. Whoop. So you can also wear those 1 to 2 hours or overnight. Some people enjoy wearing them overnight. They feel like they get a better result from that. If you're going to do that, of course, you'd use the Carbamide peroxide, but it's going to, I don't know, it burns my throat. I don't like the feeling of it kind of sliding down my throat at night. So I just usually wear it for 1 to 2 hours when I know I'm not going to be talking to anybody, like I'm vacuuming the house or, you know, something. Just pick a chore that you won't be on the phone or something, and you can just, you know, whiten your teeth. Works very well.